Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Tom Jensen. My guest this week is Chief Warden Bob Timian. We're going to talk about violations from last year, 2015. It was a busy year for all your wardens, Bob.
Yes, Tom. Every year seems to be a busy year. So, I mean, last year was similar. We did see a small decline in citations from our high in 2014, but I don't think that was an indication of anything's come off. It's just some other factors involved there.
People are always interested. What was the number one violation last year?
Again, last year it looks like it was fishing without a license, which has been the top one for about 3 years now.
That and PFDs.
PFDs it used to be the number one, and for those who don't know, PFDs is life jackets, right. Having enough life jackets in your boat. But about 3 years ago, fishing without a license replaced that one as number one.
I noticed I was looking through the list of violations and things, and kind of stared at me for a little bit. At least in the eastern part of the state, we're seeing quite a few violations on the new ANS laws.
That's true, Tom, and probably most of that we can attribute to it's just that it wasn't that many years ago we didn't even know what aquatic nuisance species or ANS even was.
Sure.
And then the legislature passed some laws, and a lot of why we're seeing more violations is simply that we are putting more enforcement time and effort into that as it becomes more and more of a priority in the eastern part of the statewide, but especially in the east. So, like a number of these violations, you may see increases or decreases in a particular type violation may be attributed to nothing more than changing priorities for enforcement.
There for a while we were seeing quite a bit of trouble on our department's wildlife management areas across the state. Mm-hmm. There was no particular geographic region, just in general. Are we still having problems? Yes,
and I would say the ones in the west are having more issues. We've had more issues on those than we've had in some other areas.
Sure. What kind of issues are we talking about, Bob?
Littering would be a major issue, and we did put additional restrictions on camping hours and to try to avoid people living on our WMAs year-round and those things. So, just the standard violations that we see on any WMA, it's just they've increased.
As the Chief Warden, Bob, you're the one that scrutinizes this list of violations and things. Were there any statistics in there that actually surprised you?
I don't know if surprise would be quite the right word, Tom, because I kind of knew it was coming. Because some of these areas you see that as the year goes on, I hear from the supervisors and the wardens in the field, what's going on in the field, and one of the areas that was the area itself was kind of surprising was illegal night hunting, or what's commonly called shining. The violation rate doubled from last year, but the surprising thing, if you want to call it that, was that in the past few years, those shining violations seem to be somewhat localized. To be, you'd have a cluster in one area and a cluster in another area, but this past year, literally spread across the state, and so it raised a lot more questions than we have answers for right now. But right. We are aware of this, and we're hoping it's a one-year anomaly, not the things to come.
Right, and I know your wardens have gotten very sophisticated in the way that they search these out and catch the perpetrators.
Yes, we always try to improve our technology and our methodology and how we look for violations. But still, in the end, a lot of it just comes down to having a game warden spending the time in the field.
All right, Bob, thanks. If you plan to hunt in North Dakota in the future, chances are you're going to need to take a hunter education class. The course is mandatory if you were born after 1961. Here's how you can navigate to the hunter education classes available through the Game and Fish Department. First, go to the Game and Fish website at gf.nd.gov. In the upper right corner, you're going to find hunter education classes. Click on that, and you'll find a list of all the classes being offered across the state. If you find one that suits your needs, click on Enroll, and you're good to go. If you can't find one, you can register on the Game and Fish homepage to receive an email or a text message when one becomes available. For Chief Warden Bob Timian and the rest of the staff here at North Dakota Game and Fish, thanks for joining us for Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.